Okay, Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin, directed by William Eubank and written by Christopher Landon. It's a Blumhouse production. All of those names sound very promising. It's the latest installment of Paranormal Activity franchise. This drops last night. Well, I say last night, like midnight. And it's officially out today, October 29th, 2021. Now keep in mind, Christopher Landon is the writer of all of the installments since Paranormal Activity 2 all the way through the marked ones. He actually directed Happy Death Day and I believe the sequel as well. So these are promising credentials here. William Eubank, he's done The Signal. He's done Underwater with Kristen Stewart, that 2020 film. So again, the creds look good. But I'm gonna preface this by saying I am a huge Paranormal Activity fan. I was hooked from the very first one when I saw it in theaters, not knowing anything about it, and I was at the theater opening weekend for every single installment since. I was looking forward to this one. I was chomping at the bit. I remember almost annually since Ghost Dimensions in 2015, looking up some type of production notes or any type of clue that they're making another installment of Paranormal Activity, because I wanted more. I want them to continue telling the story of Toby and the girls, Katie and Christy, and just expanding off of that. So after all of these years, we'd get some type of hint that something was coming, and then it wouldn't work out, and then nothing happened, and nothing would show, and then all of a sudden COVID came, and we have a further delay, and then we get confirmation they're having another. I think this is a 7th film, and it would be coming out in 2021. So we finally got a date, and I already had Paramount, and I hit play as soon as I saw it drop last night, just after midnight. Now, going in, I knew very little. I did see the trailer, and it was a little jarring to see the direction they're going with this installment. It looked nothing like the previous films. That aesthetic, that found footage, lower budget found footage look was not there. This was obviously a higher budget. The cinematography looked awesome. It looked like a real film. It almost looked like a combination of traditional film and found footage, which I still think it is after seeing it. And then we've got these new characters, and they're entering this Amish village setting, and these religious type things are happening, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna knock it before I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm sure it's gonna be great. And that's all. I knew nothing else going in. What to expect, what not to expect. A trailer, that's it, and I watched it. Well, I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but I can't help but at least reveal this one fact about the film. And if you don't want any spoilers at all, then please don't watch any further and watch the film and come back. So I'm going to pause here. Okay, so what I'm going to say is that this film does not connect at all with the previous installments, that universe, that lore. There's zero reference to Paranormal Activity, those first 6 films. None. This is a completely new movie and story. I looked for references. I listened for references. I was like, am I missing something? Mind you, I only watched it one time, and this was last night. If I missed something, please correct me, but there is no tie to the original Paranormal Activity film. And I did not know that. Maybe I should have. And maybe I'm at fault, and this is why my review is going to come off more negative than positive. I had the expectations that this was going to continue the story, the lore of the original, and it doesn't. So I think if I would have already known that going in, I would have received this initially much better than I am now. And I think in time, I'll be able to accept it more. I mean, I'm literally 12 hours I watched it, I slept, I thought about it, and now I'm talking about it. So there hasn't been much time for me to process this, but my initial, this video is basically my initial thoughts on this movie. With the spoiler warning already stated, again, I'm going to keep plot details out, but as far as establishing setting, I am going to reveal some of these details, which could be spoilery. So if you feel like you don't want to know anything, then don't, stop watching if you haven't already. This is set in 2021, and this is set in current times. So we are going to see the pandemic. We're going to see masks on characters.
Hey! Oh, airport. Sorry, Max. I got it. Sick. Hey!
Are you down?
Yeah.
Yeah, Margot.
I was, I accepted it pretty quickly, but I was like, really? So this is set in March, and the movie spans about 12 days, early March to mid-March. And basically we've got this character, Margot, who is meeting her first blood relative she found through a genealogy website, kind of like Ancestry. So this establishes a story. She's doing a documentary on this. Obviously, she's doing documentaries. How else are we going to see this movie be made? So she's got her buddy Chris, that is the cameraman. It's going to be following along with him, and he's got updated equipment, kind of like think of Blair Witch 2016, where we were introduced to current technology. So it's in that vein. They meet up with a sound guy. So you got these three, they're working on the film, and they meet up with the first relative, and he comes across as an Amish fellow, and he brings them to his family and introduces them to his family. They allow her to make her movie there for a few days, and so as the movie's progressing, we're getting dates flashed in front of us, letting you know what's happening on this day and on this day. And so we're introduced to I don't know if I should give names, but yeah, we're introduced to the one of the elders who is the father of the initial cousin that she meets, and then everybody else in the village. It has a bit of a village. The Village and a Midsummer vibe with a little bit of a Blair Witch 2016 twist. You've got some drone shots. It looks beautiful. The cinematography is great. I'm not complaining about the picture itself. Its modern look, the aesthetic itself, it looks great. It's just, for me, I guess what bothers me the most is that this does not feel like a Paranormal Activity film whatsoever, and that's what I was expecting. That's what I wanted. Right, it suffers from other, like, your common your basic horror tropes. You've got the creepy little girl that's really quiet, and then she says something kind of shocking to Margot, and you've got the creepy old lady who's in the rocking chair, and there's a shot from behind the back of her head as she's rocking, and then there's a reveal that and this is not a spoiler, this is actually in the trailer, but there's a reveal that she's supposed to be like peeling potato skins or whatever, but she actually is peeling her hand, and that, if you look at that shot, it's obviously CGI, and so they don't use a lot of practical effects, which I prefer. CGI takes me out of a lot of moments, and that is just, if you look at it, it looks, it just doesn't look that good. It looks fake. It looks fake. So there's these tropes that we get. There's these jump scares with heightened sound, which you wouldn't get in a found footage if you were just recording somebody in an event or whatever in a room and somebody is tapping on the window. That sound is not going to be heightened. It's heightened for the film, for dramatic effect, and so it just takes you out of the whole found footage presentation, if you will. So Margot and the crew continue to do their thing, and they're discovering more and more. And again, without getting into spoilers, Margot is wanting to know more about her mother, and that backstory is essential. It's key to what we're going to see in the end. As far as how this plays out and what the reveals and how this ends, you've seen it before. If you're a horror fan, you've seen everything you're going to see on the screen in this film. you've seen it before. It's nothing that's original as far as like the reveal and even the shock horror that you're gonna see. In fact, when you do see it play out, you're gonna be like, oh, I feel like I've seen this movie before. It's just not anything new. It's not anything original in that sense. And as you know, watching a Paranormal Activity film, you know there is just that, paranormal activity. And this, I didn't pick up on any type of activity that was paranormal. You know, in the original franchise, you have the demon who's known as Toby. So you know there's a demon that's been following Christy and Katie. Well, in this, you're going to have an entity, right? You're going to have a demon, but there's no explanation. We don't know who this demon is, and for the most part, we don't know the motives. Like, why is this happening? We get a line here and there that kind of hint to that, but at the end of 90 minutes, it's just not enough to flesh out what it is that we're seeing. We just have to accept that this is happening there, right? Again, I'm trying not to reveal too much. I felt like there was a lot missing in understanding why this is happening. Now, I do know why Margot is there, so the film does tie that up with her mother and all of that. As far as like why this has been happening before Margot, like what's the demons, what's the entity's motive? Whereas in Paranormal Activity, they were starting to flesh that out with Toby and the firstborn of the son and all that. We were starting to get more of that, right? We were starting to get more from the original installments as to why Toby is following these girls. I was just hoping, I was like, it's a 98-minute film, and closer to 90 after credits. And I was just hoping, are we going to somehow tie the original story to this, or is this a completely new anthology installment, if you will? Because at the end of it, that's exactly what it is. I even scrubbed through the credits to see if there's a post-credit scene, and nothing. This movie literally is another higher budget found footage film, horror film, that does nothing different than what we've already seen, and has the Paranormal Activity name slapped on it for notoriety. And I just don't know how I feel about that. I mean, initially, I hate that. Initially, I am highly disappointed because, in my mind, it tarnishes the Paranormal Activity franchise name, which I'm an avid fan. Had I not been a passionate fan of this franchise, I wouldn't even be talking about it right now. You know, because on its own, it's a standalone film that could work on its own. It's just another found footage horror film, but it could stand on its own. It doesn't need the Paranormal Activity name. That's my point here. It doesn't need that franchise name slapped on it. So with all that said, I sit disappointed as far as it being a Paranormal Activity entry. Without that name, I think I probably would have given this, an average rating, maybe a 6 out of 10. But because, for the sole fact that I thought this was another expanding entry into the franchise, Paranormal Activity, right now I'm sitting at 4 to 5 out of 10. It's just initial thoughts, this might change over time, but if you like these type of movies, you like found footage, horrors that kind of go into like a cult setting, there's that creepy vibe with these more primitive people, then this will definitely be up your alley. Like I said, it's like The Village meets Midsommar meets Blair Witch 2016. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about this as far as a non-spoiler initial thoughts review. If you want to hear my more of a spoiler review, I have notes I've taken down. I'm happy to talk about them. I don't normally do movie reviews. It's not really my niche, but I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit because, it's new. It just came out, and it's part of a franchise that means a lot to me. I'll never forget seeing the original in 2009 in theaters, not knowing anything about it, and actually walking out of that theater thinking that what I saw was real. Like, this was actual footage collected present it to audiences. I had no idea that it was a movie. And so I'll never forget that feeling walking to my car after watching Paranormal Activity, and forever will sit in my top 10 of found footage films. It was like the new Blair Witch. You know, we had Blair Witch in 1999, and we had, as far as I'm concerned, the next best thing that came after Blair Witch was Paranormal Activity 2009. So I'll leave it at that. Check it out. It's on Paramount Plus. Get a free trial if you don't already have it. Form your own opinion. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. Again, these are initial thoughts. It could change in 2 hours. I don't know. I wanted to like it more. Maybe that's my fault for not setting my expectations. But I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. I'd like to go into movies sometimes without knowing anything or little to nothing. And if I'm at fault for not, seeking out that information, that this was going to be completely detached from the original lore, then that's on me. So anyway, thanks for watching, listening, and I'll see you in the next one.